Good afternoon. How's everybody doing today? I'm Tino Mantella. I'm president of Technology Association of Georgia, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to what has always been the key piece of the FinTech Symposium. And the first thing I want to do is recognize the Sean Banks and his group for putting this on. This is something, each year it grows. I think Sean said 30% growth over last year, 400 people here today. And it's really a testament to the work of this committee. For those of you that don't know, TAG now has 33 different special interest groups. And FinTech is one of those groups that leads the way every year. They have terrific leadership. They put on strong programs like the one today. So let's give Sean and the whole team a round of applause. This has been a busy week for TAG. Yesterday we had the Health IT Summit with 700 people, and then last night we had the BI Innovation Awards, and tomorrow is Women of the Year, and our friends with Atlanta Telecom Professionals are also hosting an event. So over the course of the week there'll be well over 2,500 people participating in one activity or the other connected with TAG. How many went to the Health IT Summit yesterday? And how many went to the BI Innovation Awards last night? So let's, now one last group. How many have, so this is your third event. So how many have gone to all three events? No, I think there's some. Okay, there's in the back. You get a prize, whatever. We're not sure what that is yet, but you'll get something. So a little bit about TAG. I think most of you know. But we're now the largest technology trade association in the U.S. We have 21,000 members. And I just stepped down as I did my 2-year stint as president of Technology Councils in North America. So there's actually 55 groups in the U.S. and Canada, a couple international, that come together twice a year to talk about best practices. And we really have a number of things that differentiate us from the rest. One is our society. So to have those groups that 33 boards, which we staff, who are driving content. So over the course of a year, we end up with roughly 250 meetings a year. And some of you probably say you get too many emails from us, but and that's probably true. But it's a great way to keep involved and stay involved. So pretty much every day during the week, all throughout the year, there's one or more activities for you to do with TAG. And I can tell you that no one else, no other organization in North America provides that sort of opportunity to the community. So we're really proud of what we do. And I have a few of our board members here, and they're great as well. So, thank you very much. We focus on 5 areas now at TAG. One is connecting the community, so we do that through our societies, and then celebration and recognition at events like this. Now there's we encourage each of our societies to come up with a signature event. So 18 of the 33 now have strong signature events, along with the big corporate TAG events like the Georgia Technology Summit and the Excalibur Awards. So it's a great way to really recognize the people and the companies in our state that are doing terrific work. So we connect the community, we celebrate with the community. We also provide a lot of influence. On the way in this room today, a couple gentlemen were saying, what's happening with venture capital? And I could tell them that we have full-time lobbyists at the Capitol, and we're actually working on that. Last year, the governor signed into legislation a $100 million fund called Invest Georgia, which now we have to work on the appropriation of money this year, but we're confident that that'll happen. And that's going to be able to create more activity to support both the VCs that are here and also encourage other VCs to establish a presence here so they can participate in supporting the technology companies that are here in the state. So connect, celebrate, influence, and then promote. We have a full-time PR director, and when we looked a few years back and talked with the board, we said, nobody's really taking the point in terms of driving promotion for the state of Georgia in terms of technology. And so we said, let's have TAG do it. So we're proud of what we did. Last year we had 400 million media impressions that were generated through tag activity. So that was a good number, but this year we will have 1 billion media impressions with all kinds of activities, from supporting the Delta Sky magazine, and those of you that read the issue in August, they had Mayor Reed on the front cover, but also there was 6 pages on technology in there, which we played a key role in encouraging that group to support and understand that technology is important. Last week, we got a call from NPR that's supposed to be on this week or next week. It's the national communication that they're doing, and it's going to go out to 26 million, talking about how important health IT is here. And so it continues, and creating that buzz is not only supporting the companies that are here, but also bringing new companies to town. And then finally, the 5th area is the area we call Build, and that's our workforce area. Right now, there's 260,000 plus jobs in technology here, but also there's 4,000 openings that are difficult to fill. And our group Tag Education Collaborative, in fact, today is Georgia Gives Day, so we're all out there. The Tag Ed group is working on getting people to support through Georgia Gives Day. But they do a terrific job. Just one quick story on Tag Ed. They wanted to create awareness in the schools, particularly K through 12, about the opportunities in STEM, science, technology, and engineering and math. So they came up with STEM Day, and they got the governor to sign a proclamation. They set a goal of getting 10,000 kids on May 3rd, 2013 to participate in STEM Day. And when the dust settled on May 3rd, we actually had 275,000 kids do something in their classroom related to STEM on that particular day. We do a lot of research, and we identified the areas where Georgia leads, and to some degree that's for a government-facing standpoint. So we want to let the governor know and the leadership know that if they have limited dollars to invest, which of course they do, then they should look at the areas where we have strong clusters. And those are areas like logistics technology, health IT, communication services, information security, interactive marketing, data centers, and finally, fintech and financial technologies, which is certainly, as you know, one of the key areas. And most of you know the stats, and some of these stats are even going to be greater when we get the new statistics out. But globally, there were 135 billion payment card transactions in 2011, representing about 2.3 trillion consumer and commercial purchases. More than 85 billion of these transactions pass through global networks in the Georgia fintech organizations. So there are over 70 companies, and I've met a few companies in the last couple of weeks that have actually moved here, so I'll say well over 70 companies that impact the fintech community here in Georgia. Over half of the 30 million global cards-enabled merchants rely on technologies in Georgia's fintech organizations. Annual revenue generated by Georgia-based fintech organizations exceeds $20 billion. And Georgia fintech organizations employ more than 25,000 professionals in the state and over 105,000 people globally. So, and there's a lot of organizations that come up with the stats on who leads. So, Georgia public fintech companies, the 8 publicly held organizations headquartered in Georgia have combined market capitalization that exceeds $22 billion. And American Banker magazine comes up with their list of the FinTech 100, and there's 7 of our companies on that list. So that's just a little bit about FinTech, and I'm so proud of this group for the work that you're doing. I think collectively we're making Georgia a stronger place, so thank you very much for that. It's now my privilege to introduce Virginia Ann Holman, who is the Group Executive at Global Corp, Marketing and Communications for TSYS, and she's going to introduce our honoree today. Virginia?
Good afternoon. I am very honored to be able to introduce Pamela Joseph as the recipient of the 2013 FinTech Lifetime Achievement Award. As most of you know, Pam serves as Vice Chairman and Head of Payment Services for U.S. Bancorp. U.S. Bancorp Payment Services offers payment and processing services for individuals, small businesses, and corporations throughout North America, Europe, and Brazil. Pam oversees 5 primary business units. They are Elevon, Corporate Payment Systems, Retail Payment Solutions, Healthcare Payment Solutions, and Elevon Financial Institution Solutions. These units provide multiple clients with a wide range of products and services to include credit, debit, and prepaid cards, payment processing and services to other financial institutions, fleet card programs, electronic check processing, health payment processing and management services, as well as many contactless and payment and prepaid mobile payment applications. Pam was recently honored by American Banker as one of the magazine's 25 most powerful women in banking, earning the number 4 position in this year's list. She has been on the list of the 25 most powerful women in banking 8 times. Before I ask Pam to come forward, I want to share another aspect of Pam's life that really positions her passion and her leadership. In 2010, Pam brought together a group of very senior women in payment services and created Women Leaders in Action. This group meets several times a year with an agenda that usually includes leadership, mentoring, sharing best practices, and charitable work. Starting in 2010 and continuing through today, Women Leaders in Action has supported organizations such as Rotarians for Fighting AIDS, an organization that helps orphans in Africa attend school, Heart for Africa, which assists abandoned children in Swaziland, and Pam recently completed her 5th trip to Africa as part of these efforts. Women Leaders in Action has funded the building and outfitting of a preschool in Swaziland and is currently partnering with 7 schools in Kenya to support students from the ages of 2 to 22. This support has led to quality of life improvements for these children and those schools. They include furnishing a girls' dormitory with beds and mosquito nets, adding solar panels to provide lighting and internet access to both the dorms and the schools, and sponsoring children for 4 years of school. She also has worked on providing them with uniforms, lunch boxes, and the basic necessities of just having a pair of shoes. These are just a few of the examples of the incredible leadership that Pam Joseph has demonstrated. Now, without further delay, I'd like to present our honoree and the winner of the 2013 FinTech Lifetime Achievement Award, Pamela Joseph.
Well, thank you very much. There's nothing that makes you feel old than winning a Lifetime Achievement Award. And as I say that, I have to put on glasses just to read my comments here. Thank you all very much. First of all, I'd especially like to thank Tino and the members of the Technology Association of Georgia. And I'd especially like to thank Virginia Holman and all of my good friends at TSYS. This actually is really making me feel quite embarrassed right now. I'm actually very honored and very humbled to receive this award. And again, very fortunate. I've been fortunate over the years that I've been surrounded by really talented individuals who have always made me appear better at what I do than I actually am. I feel as if all the folks who've joined me today share in this award. I have about 3 tables of fan club members here, the likes of Rodney, Bob, Elaine, Rob Grant, just to name a few. And I want to thank all of you for your effort and your contribution. All of you, probably except for Matt Gullo. Matt's my compliance officer. I've also been very fortunate that I've chosen to make a career in an industry that grabbed me at a very early age and pulled me in. It was an industry of never-ending change, and for someone who gets bored easily, the payments industry has provided the ongoing challenge that I needed, and probably many of you as well. For those of you in technology, payments is a great opportunity. It's never cutting-edge technology or technology for technology's sake. Payment folks just quickly assess whatever new technology has been put out in the marketplace and quickly adapt it to make payments work better. Improved security, a faster transaction, enhanced analytics, or maybe just better customer experience. With technology, I've watched this industry reinvent itself and its business model over and over and over again. When I started in payments 30 years ago, and yes, that does make me old, it was sometime right after fur trading ended. It was actually still a paper-based industry. Back then, on a bi-weekly basis, we would ship out a paper warning bulletin that listed all of the cards in the entire nation that had been lost or stolen. If a merchant didn't find your account number in the bulletin, he was good to make a sale and you were good to buy something. There was absolutely no automation and no technology. We had just begun to move everything to an electronic authorization and electronic data capture. It was extremely disruptive to the merchants who preferred their paper bulletin. But it was very exciting and a very exciting period of time. I was tapped at that point to help build out one of the first online debit networks. I love debit. Single message format for those of you that write code, nice and clean. I came across a white paper I wrote in my 20s on the demise of checks, where I stated that by 1990, consumers would no longer need to write checks. Oh, it's great to be young and to know everything. Just as an aside, in 2012, there were only 65 billion checks written in the United States. Over time, everyone became really comfortable with electronic payments. Customers got used to swiping their own cards through terminals and even paying at the pump. And then the noise started. It actually turned into quite a groundswell. It was something called the World Wide Web. I went with a colleague out to Boulder, Colorado to visit a business that was housed in an old Victorian in a residential neighborhood. A group of guys had punched a hole in the living room wall and had a T1 coming into their living room, I assume it was a living room, and had servers hooked up all over the floor. Years later, we would call them an ISP. On this particular day, we just called them crazy. We agreed to help them add payment capability for their small but growing group of web customers and began to adapt and adjust our payment model for the internet and what would eventually become e-commerce. At that point, young, smart people told us in 10 years there would no longer be any brick-and-mortar stores. Luckily, I had grown older and had stopped writing white papers on the demise, so there was no white paper on the demise of the storefront at that point. Over the years, everyone became comfortable with the internet and, at minimum, at least now, buy their books and download their music online. Meanwhile, there are still over 6 million storefronts in existence in the US today. And now here we are once again on the edge of yet another seismic shift. Mobile phones and the integration of payments with the phone. This change has been a long time coming. I assumed we would have been doing this en masse years ago. It certainly isn't the technology, because the technology had worked back in the late 90s. Our company currently does business in about 26 countries, many of which have already made the migration to paying with their phone. I'm grateful as we go through this latest change that we are located here in Atlanta. Many of you may not know this, but Atlanta is the hub of the payments industry. Probably 70 to 80% of all payments are processed in or around Atlanta. I say around because of our friends at TSYS who choose to be in Columbus, Georgia. And so when it comes time to build out our new development group, which we've done, and we brought in quite a large group of mobile developers, we had tons of local talent to choose from right here in Atlanta. And so we start a whole new chapter in payments. And along with the migration to phone, we know as an industry we have to redesign the way things work. A group of us have gotten together from the issuing side of the business to drive a standard around tokenization, which is where we need to move from a security perspective. Visa, MasterCard, and American Express have jumped on board, and as we move to mobile, we will put tokens in place to replace the account numbers that currently reside in the transaction stream. Alas, I'm now much, much older, as you can see, and wouldn't even consider writing about the demise of the plastic card. Regardless of how many millions of customers end up paying with their mobile devices, I know there will continue to be a population of folks that still want to pay with their plastic magstripe card. And so, in a nutshell, therein lies the beauty of the payments industry. It's ever-changing, it's never boring, and while I've spent 30 years in the business, it has been 30 years of something new and interesting and always challenging. And yet, with all the change, many people and many consumers will still hang on to whatever has worked for them well in the past. Writing checks, using a card, buying merchandise in a store, if you can imagine that. For some, change in the latest solution is totally unnecessary. As they say, if it isn't broke, there's no need to fix it. Which brings me to my final acknowledgement and almost the end of this speech. 30 years ago, I met my husband, Hank, who is here with me today. Stand up. Oh, you are standing. He's been an awesome partner and represents a part of my life where status quo works perfectly. I could not have accomplished what I have without him. There to support me every step of the way, and every morning when I get up, if I'm in town, he brings me a cup of coffee, which is really great. He's been there especially to help raise our 3 sons. The beauty of children, for those of you that have them, no matter what you do or no matter who you are, they really don't care. And that really manages to keep you quite grounded. One of them will call me later today, not to congratulate me, rather more importantly to ask, "What are you making for dinner tonight?" And so in closing, you can see that I really have been very fortunate. After 30 years, I still love the business that I work in. I didn't set out in life with a goal to be in the payments industry, but in hindsight, it has been a wonderful experience, an experience of a lifetime. And whenever I look at this award, it will always represent the history of payments, the growth, the change, the innovation and challenge, the new always replacing the old. I never thought of myself as someone who would be honored with the likes of a Pete Kite or a James Blanchard or a Paul Garcia, all much deserved recipients of this award. I really always just thought of myself as someone who worked hard over the years and was very lucky to have found my way into a tremendous industry with very talented people in a great city. Thanks again to all of the individuals at TAG for this great honor today and for all of the work that you do on behalf of our industry. And a special thanks to all of you here who have made my achievement possible. Finally, to my good friend and compliance officer, Matt Gullo. If not for you, Matt, I know I would have achieved a whole lot more over the years. However, thanks to you, I can state with absolute certainty that whatever I have achieved meets all required state and federal regulations. Thank you.